Hey everybody, Captain Jim here. Got a hammer from Keltec that came in today, and you guys and gals are really going to enjoy this show. We talk a lot about the different offerings that Keltec has and some of the really cool options that you can do to accessorize all of the stuff that they have out there. So hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy this show.
Average firefight, the average close quarter encounter involves about 5 rounds.
And normally less than 3 to 5 yards too. So
Yeah. So you've got 15 spares.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, good morning to you guys out there on Facebook. We appreciate y'all tuning in. But we've been working diligently to get the Facebook feed up, and so we're glad that you guys and gals are able to join us now here on the Facebook feed. But for those of you that are out there on the radio station, on the radios, you've got 99.9, 94.7, 100.7 FM, and of course 1510 AM. And you can go to catchamemory.outdoors.com at any time and listen to the live streaming feed. So yeah, we got the Facebook feed back up. Thank you so much to our producer Paul for doing that.
Thanks,
we
Paul.
appreciate that, and hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy the show this morning. Got for those of you that are just joining us, we've got Chris Hammerstrom, also known as Hammer, from Keltec in this morning, and we were just talking about the new 5.7 pistol with the stripper clips instead of a magazine. Now, so you've got these little stripper clips, weigh virtually nothing. You could carry an extra 2 or 3 with you. Why? I should say not why. What goes in place of where the magazine well is?
So you can
It's still got to be a well, but you just don't access it from the bottom?
Yeah, so they will load from the top. I'll go up to the camera so people can see.
Right. There you go. And you just push it straight in. And
it's pretty fast to do.
And there's 10 rounds.
Yep. And
Just
then
like that.
comes with, like I said, 2 of those. Holds 21 total in the pistol. All of them come with an optics plate for an RMSC. So you can put any of those, the Shield dots, the Sig Romeos, the Vortex Defender. This is a Viridian green dot. And they all have the accessory cut as well for any kind of lights or lasers also.
Yeah.
One of the nice things with removing the magazine, we're able to make this the slimmest, lightest 5.7 pistol on the market.
It's extremely thin. And so for a concealed carry type of a scenario, obviously very concealable.
Yeah, so I like to say as a plus-size firearm model that this thing is fat guy certified to carry. So it's one of the most comfortable guns I've ever carried with its slim, rounded profile. It's so nice. Like, you don't even realize you're wearing it, and it's pretty much a full-size firearm.
Well, I'm looking at the top of that, the top of the slide. It is completely rounded. It's not, most guns are squared off, or maybe they've taken just a little bit of shaving off of the angles on the top sides of it to make it a little less jagged or grabby on your clothing, I guess you would say.
Yep.
This one is completely rounded.
So one of the ideas around the round slide was cost with manufacturing gets associated with cost back to the customer. We were able to use pretty much the profile of the material and make that the profile of the slide. So you get the round profile, which, like you were saying, great for not snagging on things, a lot more comfortable to carry, but also it's a lot less time in the machine. So if it takes less time in the machine, it's less time associated with the customer, and that's why we're able to get the MSRP at $399.
So what you're saying is instead of having a block of metal that you're then using the CNC machine to cut and router out and all that kind of stuff, this is a round tube. It starts as a round tube.
Yep, we're using round bar stock on there. Then it goes into the machine, cuts several at a time, and then you can see it's also serrated all the way around. So you are able to manipulate the firearm from pretty much any part of the slide.
Interesting. That is a really, really neat concept. That's something that I completely overlooked until I'm just sitting here looking at it. I'm staring at it and I'm going, the whole top end of that thing is completely rounded off.
Yep.
That would be snag free coming out of a, if you're, got it underneath a shirt or a jacket or something. I mean, just absolutely snag free because there's nothing to catch.
Yep.
That's interesting. A round, a tubular slide on top of a standardized looking
Yep.
frame.
Yeah, when you first see it, you're like, a little weird, but then the more I've had it, the more I've carried it, the more I've shot it. It shoots phenomenal, super low recoil, super accurate, and then, like I said, just weighs nothing. It's a dream to carry. So,
Yeah, well, it's a neat looking little gun, that is for sure. And 20 rounds of 5.7, not bad.
not bad.
Not 21 if you carry one in the chamber, not bad. Let's go take a break, and we're going to come right back. Hopefully you guys and gals are enjoying this portion of the show. We're going to be right back with Hammer and myself, Jim Ross, with more Catch Your Memory in just a minute. Appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. Hammer from Keltec Industries. Keltec CNC is in the studio with me this morning. Wow, you brought the rolling case today. Normally Hammer comes in and he shows us one or two little innovations. Today, holy cow, we have an entire... Now, obviously, this entire lineup that you have leaned up against the wall over here is a representation of probably what you're shooting throughout much of your competition, or just fun plinking. And you know what? I see something. Wait a minute. Is the short barrel, all black gun, 22, or is that 5.56?
That is our 5.56, but
Okay.
it also comes in 22.
So I have the 22 version, but in the carbine, not in the pistol length, and absolutely loved shooting that little gun.
It's a ton of fun
that
to
was
shoot.
the second gun. No, that was the first gun that I ever got from Keltec, was that SU 22, and they had just come out with the new sliding adjustable stock.
Yep.
And the reason that I bought that gun was because my son was about 7 years old at the time.
Perfect for him.
And I wanted him to be able to shoot. I wanted my girlfriend to be able to shoot. She's, he was, 4 foot nothing. She was, 5'2", and then of course me being about 5'8", 5'9", I wanted to buy one gun that all of us could go have fun with.
Yep.
And so with the 22 caliber and the adjustable stock, that was a fantastic little gun. Let's talk a little bit more about that right after this phone call, because we got a caller on the line. Good morning.
Morning, Jimbo. How are you?
Hey, it's Mike Mann. What's going on, buddy?
Living the dream, baby. Living the dream.
I hear you.
Finally got a day off this week.
How's it been for you?
It has been good despite all the crazy weather. I mean, we get
Sure
4
did that
seasons a week.
4 seasons and the pollinating is still occurring.
Oh, God. It has been absolutely... You don't know what weather you're going to get. You don't know what direction you're going to get, what the temperature, how to dress. But the fishing's been good.
Be prepared for anything is the Mike Mann motto, right?
That has been it this winter. This winter, spring, fall, and summer in the last 3 months. But it's been, we've been catching a lot of black drum still, a lot of redfish, or, a decent number of redfish. And the snook bite and the trout bite has been kind of up and down. And the mangrove snapper bite's been up and down, but actually starting to see a few flounder trickle in.
Okay. So you're getting a variety of species now that the water temps are getting up into the low 70-degree range.
Yeah, I think yesterday when I came off, it was 71, 72. Expecting to maybe see some cobia on the beach, I'm hoping soon.
Well, I can tell you they're offshore of you right now. You go southeast of Ponce Inlet, 15, 16 miles, you're in them.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, Dad. Offshore, a mile or so out, that they've been pretty thick.
Yep.
I have yet to have a day I could get out there. I had, seems like every time it's decent weather to go do that, my guys want to go do something else. They want to be in the lagoon.
Right.
Which, it's whatever makes the client happy. But I'm looking at it, looks like we got at least 2 more weeks of guess the season weather again. But, one of the nice things, though, is with the cooler water temperatures. Let me turn this Bluetooth off. Hang on one second, guys. I can barely hear you.
Go back to the standard phone.
Going back to the old phone setup, because I could not hear from those speakers. But yeah, one nice thing is with this happening, it's really kept the water very clean and clear. It's made sight fishing great. It's keeping the fish schooled up. Looks like I'm going to guess where our water temperature is probably going to drop back down into the mid to low 60s again over the next few days. Because I think I saw some lows in the 50s and highs in the 60s, so it'll probably drop it back down. The big thing this week, though, has been the full moon. That's probably affected the fishing more than anything.
Yeah, I can tell you it affected my fishing on Thursday. I didn't get out yesterday. I had to. Stuck around the house yesterday. Unfortunately, I kind of wanted to be out there, but Thursday I was out there, and the fish were not. The redfish in particular were not cooperative. Now there was no problem finding them, but getting them to eat anything. I mean, they just acted like everything that we cast at them, including live baits, they just ran from it, and it was just like this. They're not wanting to eat. You could tell too. They had no color in them. They were dark. They had that blackish gray sort of a tint. Their pec fins weren't lit up. It was definitely, their demeanor and their coloring was telling me that, hey, these guys just are not happy. But there was plenty of them to see. That was the thing that was interesting, is they were out and about.
Yeah, I can tell you that Thursday it was the exact same thing with the black drum as well up here. We would see them, and you throw a bait out in front of them, you lead them, you try naked shrimp it. Most anything we had on was foul hooked because the schools were so tight together and they were running so fast.
Yeah.
So it was same thing up here yesterday. It started out that way, and I found one school as a mixed school of reds and blacks. If you threw to the right side of it, you're catching black drum. If through dead in the middle of it, you're catching redfish. So it was kind of interesting. They were sitting in about 2.5, 3 feet of water. And with the wind direction I had, I could kind of see them flashing once they cut across, got more dead in front of me. But you'd see them wake up every now and then, a boat would run by and they'd lift up and push. And fortunately, I was kind of in a protected area where nobody else saw what I was doing. And every time they swam across, they ate, and they were all upper slot. I think we had 6 black drum over 25 inches.
Big fish.
Yeah, I think in probably 4 or 5 reds in that 30-inch class. So, I mean, they were big fish, but they were all mixed in together. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, I don't care if they want to get mixed in with the puffer fish, the stingrays, and the ladyfish. If they're wanting to eat, then I'm good with it.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing that makes me happy is 2 years ago, what were we talking about? God, I'm just not seeing any fish.
Yeah.
I don't know where the schools are. I'm hardly seeing any schools. I found a school of like 15 fish. So now we're seeing schools in the hundreds. And, there's a lot of schools around. So that gives me a lot of hope. It looks like, between the oyster projects, Blair's Clam Project, just the municipalities, it looks like we're kind of we're not back where we were. And I don't know if we'll ever be back to what the lagoon was, but we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. There's been millions and millions of dollars spent, and it took decades to destroy this lagoon system, and we did a really good job of destroying it as human beings. We did an excellent job of that with our overbuilding and our careless, stormwater, distribution, I guess you would say. We did a fantastic job of destroying all 3 lagoons. But it's good to see that, the money being spent now over the last 8 or 9 years is actually creating better opportunities for this lagoon. And once the lagoon is healing, we're seeing the fish and the other, the shrimp, the crabs, everything return. And so we just have to keep on that course. There's no sense stopping or turning around now. We've got a good thing going. We just need to keep it going.
Yeah. And that's, it's the thing I'm really enjoying is, say 3-4 years ago, man, I was going to work and I was not optimistic.
At all.
yeah, now every day I start out and I'm super optimistic, and I'm like, well, okay, let's go do this. And, we're able to do several different adaptions to figure out what's going to put fish in the boat to make our clients happy. The one thing I wish a shout out to FWC, guys, look at the black drum regulations. They need to be lowered.
Yeah, I believe they're a little. I believe they're a little high. I would. You know what I'd
Yeah.
like to see, Mike? I would like to see. Yeah, let's say at 4 per person. Let's 4 or 5 per person. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. But let's put a maximum of 8 or 10 per boat.
Yeah.
Maximum.
But,
And even lower than that maybe. But when you look at if on a 4-person charter and you're taking 5 fish per person, that's 20 fish a day, and there's 360 days a year. It doesn't take long to decimate the schools that we are seeing starting to return to the lagoon system.
Yeah, my thought is lower it to like 16 to 23 inches and 2 per person. Because, 20 black drum, that's a massive amount of fish.
Yeah, especially when you talk about the school being 80 or 100 fish. In 5 days, that school's gone.
Yeah, and, fortunately, a lot of the stuff, I'm not keeping anything over 24 inches. I know we're allowed to 1 per person. I'm not doing it.
No, because they're all breeding. They're all. I did clean one the other day that was right at 24, and it was slap full of roe. And I'm like, nope, there's 10,000 babies I just killed.
Yeah.
So that so that somebody could have 2 fillets.
Yeah. And my clients are understanding that. Drop the size down, get rid of the 1 over 24. We don't need that. Yes, the fishery can withstand it, but why do what it can withstand rather than what helps it increase?
Yeah.
If you drop numbers down to a manageable size, then you can keep a few fish. You can let the population still, because you're not affecting it as bad.
Exactly.
And I get it. A lot of guys. I had a guide the other day tell me, says, "Look, if I don't keep a limit and everything we can, I'm not getting tipped. So don't get a tip." I don't have that problem. My clients don't tip me on how many fish we keep, on how hard I work on the boat.
Exactly.
And, I'm not really doing it for tips anyway. Tips are great, but that's not what I'm doing my job for.
Right.
That's just an acknowledgement of, hey, you did a great job. I'm not worried about that. If they're worried about it, they need to raise the rates. And it's, it's just, you and I came up when it was, how big of a bag can you bring back to the table? You had to walk up there with your puffed up chest and start pulling fish out of the cooler, throwing them up on the cleaning table, and like, yeah, I had a better day than you guys, didn't I? And that was kind of the sign of a good guide. It's not that, being a steward of the fish is what I'm seeing as good guides now.
Right. Exactly. You're 100% on that. Well, buddy, we are up against our next break. How does somebody get a hold of Captain Mike Mann?
Well, I will tell you, unfortunately, I have nothing available this March, but I have April. I have a lot of days in April available. You can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. You can follow me on Instagram, CAPT Mike Mann with 2 N's. And you can follow me on Facebook, Captain Mike Mann.
Awesome.
Captain Michael Mann. Guys, get out there, catch a memory. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the luck of the Irish on Monday.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for the call, and you have a great weekend yourself.
Sounds great, Jimmy. Thanks, bud.
Bye now. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more with Hammer and myself, Jim Ross, so don't go away. Appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch a Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to us by Engel Coolers. So if you guys and gals want to check out engelcoolers.com, obviously it's a great place to go to find all the cool stuff that you want to get, whether you're going out for the day on the four-wheeler, whether you're riding in the side-by-side, checking out the airboat or the fishing boat. Ingles got something for you. Or if you're just taking the kids to the beach for the day, Ingles got some fantastic options for you to do that as well. So check them out at inglecoolers.com or at one of your local retailers here on the Space Coast. And you're going to be impressed with the Ingle Cooler lineup, that's for sure. So, Hammer, we were talking about that little 5.56 pistol.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an arm brace on that one and a red dot on that one. And it looks like that's pretty much about it. It's kind of you've just got it as a basic kind of a little plinking shot, shoot around, mess around, truck gun, that kind of thing is what it looks like you've got it set up as.
Yep. Yes. This is what we're calling our PLR 16 Defender model. One of the actual cool things, we've been working with the Sheriff's Department. So we are doing the PLR 16s with a stock on them, so there'd be SBRs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have the dots on them and everything else. And every student resource officer in Brevard County is now carrying these on their plate carriers. So
nice.
when you pull up to school and drop your kid off at school, you'll see all your SROs carrying our Keltec PLR Defenders. And it's nice to have. God forbid anything happens, but if anything happens, we want them to have the firepower they need to handle any situation that comes forward. So
25 or 30 round magazine?
Takes AR mags, so you can do the drum mags, anything like that. So it'll take any AR mag.
Gotcha. And then in a hunting application, let's say you're going pig hunting or something, you can put a little 10 round in it, a little short one in it as well.
Yeah, I've used them for hog hunting before. Fun gun, it's nice. Great to have like on the boat or the side by side.
They're so lightweight.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing about them. They're so lightweight. You can take them anywhere. It's just a fantastic little, just a great little option to have with you in the side by side, riding on the four wheeler.
Yeah,
you can fold the stock, throw it in a backpack. I mean, it goes so many different places. It's a really, really cool little concept gun. And that was one of the first guns that Keltec ever even came out with.
Yep. Yeah, it was our SU-16 line, started with the A and B. It was kind of our way around the Brady Bill in the Clinton days when they were banning all the ARs and scary black rifles and all that stuff.
Oh, they're evil black rifles. Evil, right? Yeah.
And that was our kind of homage to piss off to the ATF.
Now I see you've got with the folding brace that you've got there. Who makes that particular brace?
This is the Strike Industries. They have a brace and a stock. We have, of course, both options, and these will be sold in a complete package like this with the brace and everything already on it too. So,
and it just clamps around and bolts to basically the back end of the handle above the grip on the pistol.
Yeah, with the Defender models, we have a 1913 pick rail mount on the back, so it's just an easy little bolt-on accessory. So if you wanted to, you don't have to use this stock or brace. You could put on anything that'll mount, any side folder that'll mount to the 1913 pick rail.
Interesting. Great little option and super, super lightweight.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I see that you've got another one that was sitting right next to it, and I'm not sure exactly what that one is because I'm not familiar with that gun.
So that is actually, a lot of people are familiar with our PMR 30 pistol.
Okay.
So Ferrotech is a company that's been making a lot of different cool accessories like chassis systems for your Keltec weapons. And that is actually, this one's SBR'd, but you can do the brace model as well, but that's the PMR 30 pistol inside a chassis.
Interesting. Okay, so it just literally goes up into...
Yep, bolts through it. It has a piece that replaces the top cover on the slide, so you have a charging handle that charges just like an AR-15 on there.
Okay.
Still takes your 30 rounds of 22 Magnum, but ultra compact, lightweight, 22 Magnum. Of course, like I said, this is a short-barreled rifle, but you can also do the stabilizer brace as well.
Now, I've got the CMR.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the PMR. So this is an option for a guy who's bought the pistol version in 22 mag to now put it into, when you say SBR,
yeah, this one
short barrel rifle.
Yep.
Option.
Yeah, this one's been tax stamped, so you have to pay that lovely $200 fee.
Right.
Luckily, with the e-file stuff, and I think they're saying like the government's using AI now to approve like all the stuff where like wait times on SBRs and suppressors used to be like months
Forever.
to a year. And I know people that are getting SBRs approved same day now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I notice you do have a small suppressor on that.
Mm-hmm. That's a little Thompson machine can on there, and I also have a Vortex Defender ST red dot on it as well.
Once again, great little, packable, lightweight option with lots of firepower behind it. With 30 rounds,
Mm-hmm.
lots of firepower behind it. Really, really, that's a pretty neat little concept there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you've got a lot of your guns are tricked out. What is something a guy wants to buy a gun and he says, you know what, I want to do a little deer hunting. I want to do a little, maybe a lot of hog hunting.
Yeah.
And maybe even if I had the opportunity to go do something a little bigger, like maybe hunt Texas where they have some exotics, maybe an elan or something like that, or maybe even an elk. What kind of an option can a guy look at that is still a very small, compact, packable type of gun almost,
So
compared to a standard full-length rifle?
what we have along those lines, so our RDB, which is like my competition rifle right over here, this has actually the 20-inch barrel. Standards normally have like the 17, but we do have the longer barrel option. This is the 5.56. So this one, great for hog hunting and everything else. So you have something the size of a short-barreled rifle, but with a 20-inch barrel. I've shot this thing out to 1,000 yards before.
Wow.
This is my competition rifle. I'm regularly shooting anywhere with my offset dot from like point-blank targets, or with this 10-power Vortex scope. I'm transitioning out to, normally in competition, we're shooting anywhere from 300 to 700 yards. So, but great for hogs. But if you're looking for something a little bit larger game, we do have our RFB, which is our 308 model. That's kind of like this.
Okay.
So I actually took one out to Marfa, Texas, and got to go hunt Aoudad with it, which was a lot of fun. So out on the Texas-Mexico border, go to shoot some rams. And, of course, we shot a mess of javelina and everything else while we were out there. So with the 20-inch barrel, I'm getting just over 3,000 feet per second out of this with 55 grains. So
The 55 grain 5.56.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that you've got a bipod on the front of this one for stabilization, especially in an uphill or downhill type of a scenario, hunting. Guys going out west and he's trying to hunt, in not flat terrain.
Yeah, and
Elevations and things. The bipods really, really come in handy for locking you down for a good solid shot.
This is an Atlas, which is a more high-end bipod. They're super nice to have. The legs are articulating, and you can offset them in different ways. So you can kind of tailor it to what your terrain is. So if I'm shooting off a rock, not all rocks are made equal.
Oh, exactly.
Some of them are pretty jagged. So, like, I could put one out and one in. If, say, there's, like, a pocket in the rock, I can take this lever, deploy out like that. And this also cants and swivels as well. So
Interesting. So the whole bipod itself has a swiveling and rotating effect to it. Each leg is obviously individually adjustable, multiple locking points, and then the angle at which the leg comes off of the front of the bipod is also, able to be changed quite a bit. Now, the offset side mount with the little red dot on it, a lot of guys are still trying to, in close quarters, use their regular scope to try and, like in a hog hunting scenario where you're slip hunting, you're just kind of walking through the woods, you can hear the hog, you're getting close. But with the red dot, that gives you that 0 to 50 yard option just immediately.
So that's one of the things I've been kind of pushing in the hunting community, at least like with my friends and everything else that I shoot competition with. It's one thing we've come to get used to doing. So, and I don't ever see it on other hunting rifles, is carrying an offset red dot or a top mounted dot on your scope. So I can keep my scope dialed in to a farther distance. So if I see something longer that I need to reach out and touch, I can. But maybe, like you said, I'm slip hunting, and it's actually happened before, where I'm walking through the woods and a hog popped out right in the trail, and then
Like right there.
pop out, rotate, and
you're on him.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is a really, really cool option to be able to. And whose offset do you have? And it's a Picatinny style rail that you're mounting to, but whose offset and optic is that?
This is the Vortex Defender 1 to 10. It's a LPVO, or a low-powered variable optic. It's nice so you can run it at 1 power, and it works pretty much like a red dot. Or I could run it up to 10 power, and like I said, I've been shooting this out to 1,000 yards before on man-sized silhouette targets. And then with the dot, it's also a Vortex. This is their Defender ST, which is their mid-sized dot.
Mm-hmm.
They make an CCW and an XL for like different. CCW, of course, for the pistol. Defenders for you could run on carbines or like a full-size competition pistol.
And do you know who makes that offset that red dot mounts on?
It's made by Warren.
Warren?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, Warren makes some of the best like single piece scope mounts you can get. So instead of having dual rings, it's a one piece mount, so it never loses zero. Guaranteed.
So I've got a Strike Eagle that's 2 to 12 or something like that with a red illuminated reticle with a BDC compensator on my 5.56, and absolutely love that particular rifle scope. Well, guys and gals, we've got another break that we got to take. We're going to be right back with a whole lot more. We got lots of toys here this morning. For those of you listening on the radio, we're going to try and explain it to you as best we can. For those of you that are watching on Facebook, you're getting to see all the goodies as well as hear about them. So we're going to be right back with Catch a Memory Outdoors right after these messages. Up with guys going, send a picture. What's this? What's that? So just wanted to say thank you for all the interest. And hopefully you guys and gals are enjoying the show who can't see what we're showing on the Facebook page, but you can hear what's going on the radio, obviously. So the school resource officers are carrying this 5.56 folding stock, little lightweight, super lightweight gun, and this is something that they're carrying all the time, or
yeah, they actually had custom mounts made to mount it to their plate carrier, so it's mounted right to their chest rig.
Right to their chest rig. Okay, it's that small, that lightweight, that easy to take around with you. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Brevard County Sheriff's Office just did a video, it was like 2 weeks ago, showing all their different student resource officers. So you can see the PLR Defender actually mounted on all their plate carriers in the video on their social media.
That is now, average guy's not walking around with armor-proof plates on, or protection plates on, but I carry mine on. So what is the name of the mounting system that goes on that allows you to mount that folding brace / stock to it? What is the name of that again?
So that is our 1913 mount.
1913.
So yeah, that's what the standard, I should say, name is for the Picatinny rail.
Okay.
So it's a Picatinny rail mounted to the back. We also do have, which was our SU16E adapter, which will do like a standard AR bolt tube. So if you didn't want to have the standard or a side folder like that, you could put an AR stock on it if you put
That's what I have on my 22. My
Yep.
SU22 has that particular style. And the thing I like about it is it has a ring right in it that you can clip, a lanyard
sling,
or a sling or anything to carry it very easily. And so that's one of the things that I really, really like about it, because I just use a single sling, but I've got it clipped onto the back of the stock area there, the pistol grip and stock area, because I've got the buffer tube as opposed to a folding stock in mine.
Yeah, and the strike brace on it right there and their strike stock, they both have the QD mounts on them. So a lot of people are switching to the QD slings. They're just push button, attach and detach,
Right,
and
nice.
It's so nice to clip in and out of. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, so I've got the QD on my 308s and my 5.56, but on my little SU22, I've got that 1913. So yeah, pretty cool little. So let's say the guy's he wants to shoot something a little heavier, a little bigger, a little heavier cartridge. What's an option that a guy has got in that particular?
like I was mentioning before, we have our RFB, which is our 308. And a lot of people probably recently saw, we have a teaser of a new Sub 2000 coming out. Nothing definitive on what the actual caliber is, but let's just say we've been listening and
beefed it up a little bit. So the SU 2000.
I don't have.
I was
going to
say you didn't bring one. You didn't bring one today. Okay, but we've showcased that in the past, so you guys and gals can go back and see the last show that Chris was on, he brought in the SU 2000 in a new chamber.
Yeah, that was in the
option.
5.7.
Yeah, in the new chamber option at 5.7, and it's the Gen 3,
Mm-hmm.
so it has a folding and rotating barrel.
Yeah, so now it can have optics on there. You don't have to buy any special mount. What we did with the Gen 3 was everything you bought as an accessory before comes standard on the Gen 3. So it's out of the box, ready to rock, good to go on it, whatever you want. I have been shooting the standard, like I haven't done anything to it other than mount a red dot, and that's what I've been shooting in USPSA, and I'm competing nationally in USPSA, traveling all over
with
doing
a
that.
stock gun
With a
straight
stock
out
gun.
of the box.
Yep.
Just put a red dot on it. It's ready to. It's competition ready, out of the box.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the nice things with its straight blowback design. Takes Glock bags and everything else. A lot of these guys are going out and spending anywhere from like $1,500 to $3,000 on their PCCs, and yeah, they look nice, but they call it the Gucci guns now. But watching them perform, sometimes it's like, man, I'd be upset if I spent $3,000 and I'm having this many malfunctions. Where even the range officers will tell us, they're like, man, like we've been out here, and this is at major matches, and like the sub 2000 is the only gun that we've seen never fail.
Interesting. Now that gun originally came as a 40 caliber and a 9mm. Do you still do that in a 40 caliber option, or is it only in 9 and 5.7?
And right now it's just in 9 and 5.7, but like I said, we do have a new caliber coming that will be very soon. So
Okay, to be continued.
yes, to be continued very soon.
That's interesting, because my youngest brother worked for Keltec for a little while, for quite a while, and he got my middle brother a sub 2000 first gen in 40 cal.
Yep.
And so we used to shoot that gun quite a bit, and I tell you, it's interesting to see a basic concept that then morphs and becomes a little better, and then morphs again and becomes a little better.
Yep.
And this this Gen 3, it's like you were saying, in that particular gun, you've taken all of the aftermarket, fancy things that you could do to it, and basically just incorporated it straight out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And you're shooting that gun now in competition regularly.
That's one of the nice things. So one of the engineers there, he's on the shooting team with me, and then some of the, like our main lathe operator, bear manufacturer, he's on the shooting team with me, and some of the other guys too. And so we kind of get to take a lot of the things that we like and see from the competition world and implement them in. So when we did the Gen 3, they did an aluminum trigger rather than the plastic trigger. They did an upgraded spring and pin kit, so it's a way lighter, crisper, shorter pull. And there's also a buffer on the inside now. So even though you're not getting a lot of like tertiary impact from a 9mm, it's still impact nonetheless. And it is anything that can soften that and make you more accurate and faster on the move with your firearm and more proficient is better. So
definitely. So have obviously, a lot of these other options that you've brought in here today for us to look at have little aftermarket tricks and
I love
and
accessories,
treats on it. Yeah, and that's the fun. That's one of the fun things about buying a gun, though, is buying the accessories that go with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like buying a bow, or buying a fishing rod, or buying a boat. There's all of those little extras that you get to add on, and in most cases, a lot of the time they're just for looks. They're not actually for functionality. But you guys don't necessarily go. I mean, you're just kind of this is a black gun world, okay?
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
With a little OD green and a little flat dark earth, but it's pretty much a black gun world.
Yep.
But we're not blinged out. We're not trying to impress somebody with the looks of it necessarily. You're trying to impress people with the performance that's built into it straight out of the box.
Unless you want a KSG 25 with a 12 gauge suppressor on it, then you have big gun energy.
So the KSG is the Keltec shotgun.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk about this because this is a beast right here.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this in the next upcoming hour of the show. That looks like a whole lot of fun.
It's a whole lot of gun.
It's a whole lot of gun, but it looks like a whole lot of fun. And 12 gauge suppressed, I'm really interested. Let's talk about that when we come back from this top of the hour break. Don't go away. We're going to be back with more from Keltec and Matt Hammerstrom and myself, Jim Ross, after these messages. Captain Jim Ross and Catch a Memory Outdoors right here for a whole nother hour with you guys and gals. We're going to be talking a little bit more with Hammer from Keltec. That's Chris Hammerstrom, for those of you guys and gals that have met him before. Chris, local boy, grew up here in Rockledge, and like myself, it's nice to have some guys, that grew up around this place and used to play in the woods and shoot BB guns and ride dirt bikes and all that kind of stuff when we were kids,
Actually, grew up. Your younger brother was one of my good friends growing up. I remember shooting guns with Bobby and BB guns all the time in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. Very cool. So it's amazing how the little hometown crowd kind of sticks around once in a while and gets to do cool stuff like you get to do every day.
Living the dream.
Go to work, shoot guns, help design guns, help, go to competitions, go to shows. Really, really cool lifestyle, that's for sure. So we've got a couple of other guns down here, and you were just talking before the break about this KSG, which is Keltec shotgun. So it looks like a full polymer frame. It's got a front handguard on it, like an AR style rifle. And then it's got a gigantic suppressor on it. So when you look at this suppressor's 11 or 12 inches long.
It's a hoss.
You got to really, that's a lot of energy to try and suppress. So an average shotgun is what? I don't know, 130, 40 decibels? I don't know. What is it?
When it comes to the decibel game, I'll tell you right now, I have a lot of suppressors, but I'm pretty ignorant on what the decibels are.
Right, but it goes from loud to quiet.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty interesting that you can actually suppress a shotgun. So what is the function behind this particular weapon?
So the KSG-25 is originally developed for European market, kind of. Like some of the other countries require a 30-inch barrel, as where in America on shotguns you only have to have an 18.5-inch barrel.
Okay.
So to do this, we had to have the 30-inch barrel. So it was like, well, we might as well extend the magazine tubes to match. So now instead of the standard 15 rounds you get in a KSG, you actually get 25 rounds. You get an entire box of shells inside this shotgun. And then when you throw the suppressor on, it's just fun. Like once you start getting suppressors, they're a gateway to more suppressors.
Yeah, they're the gateway drug to more suppressors. Yeah.
You'll find yourself just like, well, you got to have one for everything. And then you don't realize like shooting's already fun and great, but when it's not super loud and concussive, boy, it's that much more fun.
Yeah.
And if you've got the wife or kids or anything out there too, like a lot of times they can kind of get jumpy. So suppressors, one of the greatest implementations in firearms community, I think.
So when you're shooting a suppressed 12 gauge shotgun, what is the suppression level?
So it kind of depends on, of course, on barrel length and everything else. And one of the cool things about this is a JK armament suppressor. It's actually tunable, so you can actually take this suppressor and you can add and subtract baffles to it.
Look
so
at that.
If you wanted to, like I said, each one of them, I don't know how well you can see it, but each of these links unscrews, so you could add more or take from it as well.
Interesting.
But let me tell you what, for shooting clays, shooting ducks, shooting doves, way better when it's not ringing someone's ears. They're like, I do a ton of duck hunting, and it's almost inevitable when I hunt out of my mud boat, so I've got a big pop-up blind on it and everything. At some point in time, someone's ringing your ears.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're shooting suppressed, it's just a world of difference.
So this suppressor that you have on this shotgun is that 2 pieces that's screwed together, or is that 3 pieces that's screwed together?
It is a bunch of pieces. So you have a main body here, then all these are individual baffles.
Oh, you just happen to pull 4 or 5 of them apart at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, understood.
One of the nice things too with the JK is they have the removable end cap, so and you can still choke a shotgun.
Oh, interesting.
This has this cap that can have different choke modules in it. So the end cap will actually act as your choke. So you can put this mount to your shotgun. They have a mount for just about every shotgun you can think of.
Right.
And it's nice now. So like all my KSGs, I just put the JK mount on. I can just bounce this can around to each one.
So in looking at that particular suppressor, most guys, when they shoot a shotgun, they've never even thought of suppressing a shotgun.
And there's quite a few actual 12-gauge suppressors on the market now.
With this one, you have, it looks like at least a dozen individual rings with a tunable end cap. So you can go from a modified cylinder to an improved cylinder to a turkey load to a duck,
Yeah, I'll be turkey hunting with this.
Interesting. Does the increased length of the suppressor change the pellet speed in any way?
Not to my
if you take a
knowledge,
9mm and you shoot it out of a handgun, it only goes so fast.
Yeah.
But if you shoot 9mm out of a small short barrel rifle scenario, it goes faster. Does the same thing happen with a shotgun?
So you are going to a little bit larger diameter and size when it goes to that. And then, of course, like with the rifle and pistol application, there's no more rifling as well. So I don't think you really pick up much as far as that. It's really just for the sound suppression. And a lot of times it helps with recoil as well.
Gotcha. So this gun is semi-automatic or it's pump?
This is a pump action, so you can pull down on the trigger guard.
Okay, gotcha.
And much like all our bullpups, it's an actual true ambi weapon system. So you can have it eject straight down rather than left or right. So it's a true left or right friendly firearm.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about which way the shell's ejecting out of the thing.
Good for anybody.
Interesting. And holds an entire box of shells.
Yep, you get 25 rounds in there. So the funny thing is you can load the mini shells in here too. So I think you hold like 50.
Of like 2 3/4.
So there's also there's a company called Aguila that makes shells. I think Federal makes them now too. They're like 1.5-inch shells.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can do like buckshot or slugs, and like so you could shoot from sunrise to sunset with this thing. Like if you load it full of mini shells, it's pretty fun. And then just a lot less recoil and everything else too. So
that is pretty neat. And you have it comes with M-Bus style sights.
Yeah, it'll come with the M-Bus sights and the Magpul vertical grip. Then I throw a Razor AMG on there. So it's just a holographic weapon sight. Great for shooting. It's got a lot larger window on it. So it's actually, I'm not going to lie, I've shot a lot of clays using this. So you have the big ring in there. And pretty much if you can get that clay inside that ring, you're dusting it. So I tried duck hunting with the dots and everything else, which it's great when the sun's up. But when it's low light and you got them flying in, the dot's not your friend.
It's not your friend.
No,
yeah.
it's too bright.
But in a high sun scenario, it is.
That's fantastic.
Very interesting. That is a not really neat concept. In just fun. That's just a pile of fun right there.
Yeah.
And suppressed. That's pretty doggone neat. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we've got a caller on the line, so don't go away. Hammer and myself, Jim Ross, and our caller will be right back with you after these messages. This segment of the show is brought to you by Petrucci Insurance, and, of course, if you're like me, you do not like insurance. You don't like paying for insurance. You don't like having to insure anything, but you got to have it, unfortunately. So guess what? There's no sense in getting ripped off by the insurance company. Call an independent agent. That's what Petrucci Insurance is. They're an independent agent, and they shop around through various companies and find you the best possible product, which has the best possible coverage for the least possible price to suit your needs. That's what they do day in and day out. So make sure you give them a call. Save money. Stop getting ripped off by the insurance companies. It's so easy to do. All you have to do is pick up the phone. 321-632-1200. That's 632-1200. Call Petrucci Insurance. Tell them you heard about it right here on Catch Your Memory Outdoors, and let them help you try to start saving some money and or get a better policy for the amount that you're currently spending. Hey, we're going to go to the phone lines. We've got Aaron Dumont from the Marine Exchange and Boat Show on the line right now. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing fantastic, buddy. You got a big event going on today over at the Merritt Square Mall.
Yes, we do. We have 80 boats on display between 9 boat dealers and 41 marine vendors selling new and used products out here. So
Nice.
pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you know what? This is like the Citizens for Florida Waterways used to have a yearly event where you could get all kinds of really cool deals. And what you guys have done is basically kind of created that sort of a scenario with new and used product and wrap that into a boat show as well.
Well, with the CFFW kind of retired about a year ago, so they had reached out to Jeff Bateman, who I put the show on with, and Jeff and I wanted to run with it, and we thought, why not make a boat show? Brevard County's needed one. There's enough dealers in town, enough boaters in town, and we're one of the largest growing populations in Florida due to all the space centers. So we figured, why not kick it off this year and try to do it with a bang? And we brought it to the Merritt Island Mall because we had more space, and they were really great about giving us a huge spot right next to J.C. Penney's. So it's we're excited. It's 72,000 square feet is what they gave us, and we've almost every inch of it.
I came by yesterday, and I was amazed at the size of what you guys had put together out there. That's most of the time in Brevard County in the past, a boat show's been kind of just a little this event, little that, not anything like what you guys have got put together out there for this weekend.
We appreciate it. We're excited. We've had real good feedback from marketing we've done. We've really hit the digital marketing this year, and we've had over 130,000 views of our events. So we're hoping at least 10% come out, and we'll call it a success.
Definitely. Well, with all of the vendors, between tackles and apparel and accessories for boats and all of those sorts of things that you guys have put together there, I mean, it's like a one-stop shop for somebody that wants to come out and pick up a boat and be able to outfit it all at the same time.
Absolutely. There's some vendors that came all the way up from the Keys to do this show. So we're excited to have them. And when I say there's a little bit of everything, I'm not kidding. There's everything from hats and floral decor all the way up to power poles. So we've kind of hit every mark, like you said.
I was looking at, I drove by, like I said, I drove by yesterday. I was looking at just one of the vendors as an example is Boaters Exchange. And I was looking at what they brought as a representation of what they have on their lot. You've got everything from Yamaha jet boats. You've got aluminum Avid center console skiffs for maybe a budget-minded fisherman, all the way up to some of their bigger boats, their cobias and their Everglades, for the guy that may have a little more discretionary funds and is looking for an offshore type of a vessel. So they've literally got something for everybody, and that was just one of the vendors that was there out of the 8 or 9 that you said are also there in addition to them.
The biggest boat in the show is a 30-foot sports boat. So it's near and dear to my heart, as you know. So. So we brought a 30-footer out here to put on display. So we've got Boat Motor Superstore, Boaters Exchange, Boteca, Beachline Marine, Riva Power Sports. KO Skiffs actually came out and put 2 skiffs on display. We have the new Dealer's Choice, the Robalo dealer here in town. Anchorage Yacht Basin came out, and Marine Max. So all the big players in town came out and put a really nice display of boats out.
Yeah, it is probably the best display I've ever seen in Brevard County. I mean, most of the time that you have to go someplace like the Orlando Boat Show or the Miami Boat Show or the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show to get this kind of a selection and be able to compare one brand versus another brand head to head, really, if you want to. And you guys have done a fantastic job. So that's today and tomorrow from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Merritt Island Mall, which I don't know the true name of that mall. But it's right there behind the Outback, behind First Watch, behind Chick-fil-A. You guys are over on the east side by J.C. Penney.
Yep. You can access us from both ends in front of the U-Haul building and behind Outback. We have 2 nice access right there off of Sykes, where Sykes Creek kind of runs parallel to the mall.
That is fantastic. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for putting this on. This is an absolutely fantastic event for people that are going to get out there today and tomorrow. And once again, 8 to 4. And if they have any other questions, can they check it out online at one of your online locations?
They can actually go they can go to our Facebook website, which is Space Coast Boating Association. We have all the details posted on there. We've got some videos of all the dealers did this week showing what they're going to have on display. I'm going to do a walkthrough video this afternoon of the whole show. So we'd love to see everyone come on by, come find me. I'll be right out front, and I'll be standing over by my Sportsman's. Love to show everyone around and, welcome out to the show.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the call this morning, and good luck with got a great weekend for a boat show, that's for sure.
Absolutely. It's nice enough to be outside, but too windy to be on the water. We couldn't ask for better weather.
Exactly. So. Thanks so much, Aaron.
Thanks, Jim. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, that's going to be a neat event. They've got a lot of stuff out there. So, speaking of events that are coming up, you have got an event that Keltec is participating in at the Space Coast Range Day.
Yep. So Space Coast Range Day is a one-day ultimate shooting event. We're going to have a unsuppressed firearms bay, a suppressed firearms bay, a long-range and PRS rifle bay, a shotgun clays bay. There's also going to be chances to shoot out of a helicopter. We're going to have UTV shooting. There's going to be canine demonstrations, some of the Malinois and all that. So they'll be showing, putting on like an attack show kind of thing. We're going to do a 22 long rifle competition. There's going to be food trucks, all kinds of like raffles and prizes. And pretty much every Florida firearms manufacturer is going to be there. I mean, it's going to be us, Silencer Co., Knights Armament, Diamondback, Christensen Arms, Rete Shotguns, Black Rain Ordnance, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, Darkstorm Industries, Glock, Bond Arms, Yankee Hill, Fight Light, and Aimpoint, as far as you can come out and shoot all of our different weapons, too. So,
wow, that's going to be a huge event.
Yeah.
So what does a guy? So, you've seen helicopter hunting. You may have actually done. Have you actually done helicopter hunting?
No, I've got to fly up there and shoot and everything before. And Keltec used to actually sponsor a helicopter hog hunting operation out of Texas called Last Shadow, and it just never worked out where we got to go out there. But yeah, no, it's definitely coming up though. We're gonna have that done.
That sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and it'll be. You can go to spacecoastrangeday.com. Tickets are right around $100, but that covers all your ammunition. Come out and shoot everything. There's some additional costs associated with shooting out of the helicopter and the UTV.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be a great time. March 29th out in the Nail Ranch in like right at the south end of Palm Bay. So
spacecoastrangeday.com.
Yep.
Is how you can get involved. Yep. That is really cool.
It's going to be great.
You're going to have to leave one of those flyers with me, because that sounds like something I need to go check out. What about you? What about you, producer Paul? You ready to go out there and check it out too? Oh, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. Well, I'll tell you, I'm surprised that Keltec has been sort of under the radar, if you will, with a lot of the things that they've come out with over the years. And a lot of times things will come out. Since you've taken over and working with the social media aspects from Keltec, you and your team of guys have really stepped up your game in promoting the weapons that you guys build. But for years, people didn't know what Keltec was. And a lot of that was because you were, I guess, doing a lot for the military, and it wasn't really necessarily the priority to be in front of the masses, if you will.
So a lot of people think so. We actually don't have any domestic military contracts. We do a lot with some export stuff. I know we work with South Korea, and I think there's several other police departments and mil LEO agencies around the world that we've worked with. But the forefront really has been kind of just the domestic market and our people here. But as you said, since I've been in marketing the past couple of years, just really stepping our game up, getting the product out there, pushing it to get in people's hands, letting people get it in their hands, and then just pushing all the social aspects of it and showing it at competitions, doing range days, everything else. So
looking at all the different guns you had, and when we started the show off talking about things that just work, that's one of the things that I think you can say about any of the Keltec weapons is they just work. There's not, they don't have to fiddle with them and tinker with them to get them to go.
Yep.
And like you say, whatever box you open up, it can be a white box with just 5.56 printed on it, or it can be a hunting polymer tipped hunting round.
Yep.
It runs everything that you want to try and feed through it. That's one of the benefits to those guns.
Yeah, I remember when I was a young guy getting into this, and I was like, my dad always told me, he's like, you want a Kimber, and then I spent the money, and I spent like $2,000 on getting a Kimber TLE RL2, and it would literally only shoot one type of ammo. I was like, I hate this thing.
And you paid for that privilege.
I did.
Right? That's the thing, is you paid for that. So, when you're looking at going back to this new 5.7 pistol, there are a lot of companies here in the last 2 years that have all of a sudden started coming out with 5.7 millimeter rounds, where before it wasn't very easy to find them. It was kind of like trying to find 410, shotgun shells. It was a challenge. And anymore, everybody is now building that platform. And so you have a variety of places that you can find that particular caliber.
Yeah, 5.7, it started with just being an FN product. And then from there, now you have American Eagle making it.
Ruger makes it.
Ruger, Hornady. Palmetto State Armory is making several models and also the ammunition now. So 5.7's just been more available, and it's just one of those niche rounds that, like, it started as a NATO thing, and it came over, and just everyone loved it. Has a ton of applications. It's a sporty little round. Super accurate, too.
Well, for guys that aren't familiar with 5.7, what would you compare it to in a classically known round?
So
it's not really anything close, really, but
no, it's kind of like an in between. It's about the size of a 9mm, but looks like a little 5.56. It's the short king 5.56, like
yeah,
a spicy 22.
Yeah, it's like a 22 Magnum with a neck down on it.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a little bit bigger 17 HMR, but
yeah,
you're getting awesome performance.
Like you said, what, over 2,000 feet per second with this?
So you're right around 2,000 with the pistols, but
so you can get round, your regular ball ammo. You can get hollow points,
tipped, and then
you can get green tips in it, which is armor piercing if you wanted.
Yeah, those are a lot harder to get than they used to be. But yeah, when 5.7 first came out, that's like what its thing was armor penetration.
Yeah,
but that is more of an LEO mill type of thing now than what regular standard civilians are going to get. But there's a lot of different people making 5.7.
So what is your favorite round to shoot through this gun?
Truth be told, really all I've been shooting is just the standard, for the most part, FN blue tip stuff. I've shot some Fiocchi and some other stuff too, but like as far as just rounds down range, it's just been the standard FN blue tip 40 grain.
And that's traveling roughly 2,000 feet per second.
Yeah, I think you're getting like 1,800 to 2,000 out of that.
Yeah. So like you say, it's a little crisper, a little snappier than a 22 Magnum.
Yeah, but a lot less recoil than the 9mm, so.
A lot less. Yeah, and which allows you to stay on target.
Mm-hmm.
So great little gun, great little functioning gun, and man, what a bunch of cool little tricks you guys have done with that rounded slide and that top mounted stripper clip, to load the thing up super fast.
Oh yeah.
Well, guys and gals, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with a whole lot more Catch Your Memory, so don't go away. Next time that you get your trailer rewired, or you rewire it yourself, get yourself some liquid electric tape. It comes in a can, like a PVC glue type can, where you can brush it on. It also comes in a very small tube where you can just squeeze it in place. But when you're putting like solderless butt connectors together and things of that nature, heat shrink butt connectors, you can always, whenever you crimp it, a lot of times it'll make a little dimple in there that corrosion can get into. So I take this liquid electric tape, and I totally coat all of my connections wherever I've made crimps or soldered, solderless connections, and it keeps them completely sealed up. So you want to check it out. It comes in a 4-ounce can, a 32-ounce can for those of you guys that do a lot of wiring, or a 1-ounce tube, and it comes in a variety of colors if that matters to you. But one of the best products that you're going to use on your boat trailer, because it's going to keep your lights working properly, because the connections won't be getting corroded. Hey, we're going to go to the phone lines, and we got Chris Williams calling in from Wyoming this morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Hammer. How y'all doing today?
Morning, boss man.
Doing good, buddy. We're doing good. We were just looking at the little 5.7, the new weapon platform, as it's been known for the past 2 years. I even tried to trip Chris up when I was out there. So, this new weapon platform, what's it going to be? And you can't trip this guy up. He's like, nope, zip. There was no additional information. So it's pretty neat that you guys brought this thing up. Chris, now when I was out there to see the plant, you were actually building the material. You were actually building the machines that were then going to build the guns.
That's correct.
So
yeah,
I was in the
yeah.
I was in the preliminary stages of watching you build the manufacturing facility, and I just thought to myself, that is such. For me, that's an odd concept. I don't live in that world, and so I would think, oh well, you just buy a piece of machinery and then you program the machinery to do what you want it to do. Yep. You guys actually built the equipment, CNC'd a lot of the machinery that you're actually now using to actually build the pistol with.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, we made all the fixturing and stuff like that. So a lot of the beginning stages was getting everything to, the weapon was already the concept and ready to go for production. Now we had to make the fixturing in order to produce this weapon at, 200 weapons a day, 1,000 a week. So that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years here with ramping this plant up. And now that the weapon is known to the world, we're able to talk about it freely, and we're able to, refine our production and start getting our feet underneath us to start getting this weapon out to the public.
Yeah. Well, it's such a neat concept. I mean, when you guys start at the drawing board and come up with a new weapon platform, obviously there has to be a demand or a perceived demand.
Right.
Greater than we far expected it to be.
Yeah. And in this case, you've created a pistol. Now, is this 5.7 chambered pistol the only weapon that you're building out there right now, or are you building other things?
That's the only thing we're building at this time right now. Once we get production rolling and we're in a position where we can expand, eventually we will come out with, another model or something in the future. We'll build out of Wyoming. But for now, I'm training up personnel here. I'm up to like 19 employees now. And, it's, we're getting everybody trained. We just started second shift 3 weeks ago. So we're running 2 shifts now. So we're starting to get some momentum under our feet and starting to get some weapons out and getting them shipped off to the public. And it's, so it's been a lot of growing pains, but they've been really good growing pains. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe how well this gun has been perceived by the public. You have built a 21 round capacity concealable weapon running 1,800 to 2,000 feet per second projectiles coming out of it that is concealable.
Yep. Like I said, it's Fat Guy approved. It's the most comfortable pistol I've ever carried. So,
yeah, Jim, I'd even venture to say that we pretty much took the SHOT Show with that pistol.
Hands down.
It was amazing how many people showed up to come and look at this thing or come to range day and fire it. And it was a pretty neat experience to see in person. So,
well, I tell you, it just shows that you guys, you did the R&D, you did the research, and you put a product out there that definitely there's a demand for.
100%.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at even in 9mm, you know, a high capacity subcompact 9mm is going to be 15, 16 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
You're an additional, you know, 5 rounds on top of that.
Yeah, and like I said, that's one of the nice features about it is the capacity. So,
Less weight,
slim round profile,
super snag-free design.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just incredibly snag-free design.
RMSC optics plate. So dots have been the way for the past couple of years now. Almost every firearms manufacturer, that every pistol that comes out now is optics available or optics ready.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like having the dot on there.
And obviously, though, there's a learning curve when you're shooting a dot.
Yeah, it is not your end all be all or instant fix for bad shooting.
So, Chris, do you guys get a chance to get out there and play with a lot of the product that you're putting out the door, or do you just pretty much stick with the manufacturing of it and let everybody else have the fun?
Well, here lately it has been a lot of stick to the manufacturing, getting test firing done and getting weapons out. But we have had a chance to go out and play with it and plink with the weapon and get some ideas and figure out, you know, what really makes this thing work and work really well. So, you know, we do get out to play with it a little bit, but right now everything's been 100% getting production up and running.
Yeah. Well, there's a demand. You got to fill those. You know, you got to fill those orders.
Correct.
And
Correct.
obviously that takes sticking your nose to the grindstone to get it done.
It's crazy. Every time I go out there to Wyoming, Chris has it. It's built up so much more every time, and like it's just awesome seeing it grow. And like Chris brought me into this firearms world that I'm in right now. He was my first supervisor that I worked with at Keltec, working third shift in 2004. So, and then now seeing he's out there playing operations manager in Wyoming, it's just awesome. And
Yep, I remember them early days working third shift or whatever. So, I've watched this whole business grow in 32 years of my career with Keltec, and I've always watched George. I don't know how he does it, but he always seems to stay ahead of the curve of what people don't even know that they want it until it's out, and George saw that before it even happened. So it's been a pretty neat experience. And now to get to kind of relive the early days of Keltec a second time, but learning it all the wrong ways the first time. It's been a neat experience, so.
Well, you have to look at what you guys have brought out. Downward ejecting shells. Were you the first company to come out with that, or you had to be one of the first?
We were up there with that. IWI might have slightly beat us to it, I think. I'm not 100% certain, but I know we've been the one forefront on pushing it as far as true ambi weapons. Actually, no, I lied. The IWI still ejects out the side, so you're right. It might be us.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at a guy who's left-handed, maybe his wife is right-handed, and he's trying to figure out, I just want to buy one gun. What can I do? A downward ejecting gun, and you have multiple guns that do that.
Yep, that's nice.
That that downward eject, and so it is truly ambidextrous. Once again, things you didn't know you needed. A 410 KSG.
That, truthfully, is probably one of my favorite things we have out right now.
Yeah, who would have known that you needed a 410 pump shotgun that what's it hold? 10, 15 rounds?
15.
Yeah, 15 rounds of 410. Yeah. Who knew you needed one until you shot it, and you're like, oh, I got to have one of these.
It's like I said, it's the one you never know you needed until you shot it.
And now with this 5.7, you guys are always on the leading edge of bringing out things to the market that people are interested in or didn't know they needed until they saw it, and then they're like, oh, I got to get one of those. Mm-hmm. Well, Chris, we appreciate you calling in this morning, and hopefully my wife and I will be back out there sometime in the near future to check to hang out with you guys and check out the improvements on the site. One quick question before we let you go. Got about a minute before break. How's the ice fishing out there?
It's been horrible this year, so we've got another second year of no ice fishing hardly. I got like 2 days on the ice, and the ice went to crud. So I've been searching for open water, so that's what I've been going out and do is after work is searching for open water and fishing or whatever. I've had a couple of nice fish. You can see them chase your lure or whatever, but the bite's not on yet, but it'll get better here soon.
Well, hopefully it does, buddy. Hopefully it does. I tell you, seeing some of the fish that you were catching when on the years that you did have ice, I was impressed. You think about cutting a hole in the water that's only 8 or 9 inches around. Chris is pulling stuff out of there that looks like it came out of a trolling spread of 240 feet of water off of the coast here. I mean, big fish.
Oh yeah.
I was shocked at some of the fish you were catching through the hole in the ice.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, thanks so much for the call this morning. We appreciate you getting up early to give us a holler.
All right, no problem. I appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good day. Chris, take care.
All right, boss man. See you later.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
I know. Chris is one of the guys that was probably one of the first listeners of this show way back in the day. We became friends, through the show, and just what a great guy.
Yeah, he's been a lot of my influence for he's actually the one that got me into gator hunting. He was the first one to ever take me alligator hunting. Taught me the ropes on all that, and just I couldn't even tell you how many. First time I'd ever gone to a beehive, and like anything like that is it's always been with Chris. So
cool stuff. Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our last break of the day. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about one final offering that you guys have for the kiddies, and I want to talk a little bit about some bow hunting as well, bow fishing, because I know you like to do a lot of that as well. So we're going to be right back with the last segment after these messages. Going to the Marine Exchange and Boat Show over at the Merritt Square Mall today. And guess what? You can go there tomorrow because you need to go to Strike Zone today, or you can double dip and go to both places. But Strike Zone is having a huge tent sale, all kinds of incredible sale items. They have got tons and tons and tons of discounted product down there, blowing it out for the spring cleaning, if you will, getting that out for you guys and gals to be able to take out to the water and go catch some stuff. I'm going to actually be down there in a little while. I'm going to go. Hammer and I are going to grab some baby chickens and some pig strips, and once we get done eating, we're going to go. I'm going to go on down there and see what's going on at Strike Zone. So we may see you down there today. Like I said, it's a great sale going on, and you guys and gals don't want to miss it. So stop in at Strike Zone and tell them you heard about it right here on Catch a Memory Outdoors. The other thing we need to do real quick, got to do the fishing and boating conditions. Small craft caution today. We're going to have some winds kicking up. This morning, it was actually kind of nice. It hadn't quite started yet, which was surprising to me. And hopefully later in the day, it'll pick up. And
it's going to get sporty.
Yeah, you guys and gals can get out there and do a little fishing this morning. But we've got 10 to 15 out of the southeast, becoming 15 to 20 by the afternoon. Seas inside of 20 miles this morning were 3 to 4 feet with a dominant period of about 5 to 6 seconds. The Ponce buoy out of 13 miles out of Ponce Inlet was 65-degree water temp, 2 feet at 5 seconds this morning. The 4-mile buoy out of Canaveral was 71 degrees, 3 feet at 5 seconds. The 20-mile buoy was 3 feet at 6 seconds and 74 degrees. And the 6-mile buoy out of Fort Pierce was 71 degrees, and it was also 3 feet at 5 seconds. Western edge of the Gulf Stream, 40 miles out of Ponce, 30 out of Canaveral, and 26 out of Sebastian. And surf temps look like this. We've got Ponce Inlet, 65, Cocoa Beach, 70, glorious whiting and pompano degrees. That's been one of the great things that we've been catching this week, is a lot of bull whiting and some pretty nice pompano as well. And Sebastian Inlet is 72, so if you guys and gals get a chance to get out there after this wind is laid down a little bit, you are definitely going to find some of those whiting and pompano running the beaches right now. Tides look like this. We got a high tide at 9:19 a.m. this morning, low tide at 3:24 p.m. This afternoon, and a high again at 9:40 p.m. this evening. That's at Canaveral. At Sebastian, 9:23 a.m. is your high, 3:38 p.m. is your low, and 9:46 p.m. is your high. And remember, the current change there is about 2 3/4 to 3 hours after the actual beach tide. Soul Lunar Tables, best times to hunt and fish, brought to you by All About Archery down in Melbourne. Stop in at Aurora Road and get your bow tuned up, or pick yourself up a new bow from them. Major this morning, or actually midday major, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m., and a minor this evening, because our other minor just ended a little while ago, but our minor this evening is at 8:25 to 9:25 p.m. So hopefully that'll give you guys and gals a chance to get out there and get on some additional activity during those time periods. Hammer, we were talking just before the break. You've got an offering for the kids now that is in an airsoft application, which is a first for Keltec.
Yeah, we actually partnered up with Evic Airsoft, and they're making our RDB, our KSG, our PLR, and our PMR, and with actually more models to come too, all in the airsoft. And the PMR also comes in a BB gun as well. But
Very cool. So you can start them with the airsoft, graduate to the BB gun, and then by the time they're 8 or 9, they're ready. 7, 8, 9, they're ready for the 22, and then by the time they're 12, they're ready for the KSG.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think I actually started shooting my daughter. She was shooting the KSG, I believe, when she was 9. But granted, she kind of grew up in a little more firearms friendly family than a lot of other people, and
Right,
a lot more
right.
opportunities. But no, the airsoft has been a lot of fun. We had it at SHOT Show. We have a live fire booth or live fire bay inside of our SHOT Show booth, so people could come down and shoot the airsoft guns. And we actually have it kind of looks like a flat screen TV with a thick rubber coating on it, but we have it in our office in the marketing room where you can actually shoot the screen, and there's all kinds of games on there. We duel and have all kinds of competitions. So it's quite the pissing match of guys in the office.
Yeah, I'll
these.
bet.
So it's not just for the kids. They're great for training for adults as well. Like you could train at home, and just getting out to do some of the airsoft fields and everything out with the matches. Some of these matches get massive, and
Well, I'm looking at it, and it looks like an exact, like the gun you have in your hand looks like an exact replica of the original.
I could probably take parts off this and put it right on my competition rifle over there.
They're that accurate.
And then everything's the same. So magazines is saying looks like the PMag 20s, but they also have the bigger ones like the 30s. But your magazine eject, all your safety controls, everything's exactly the same as your standard RDB or KSG or any of those. So
Interesting. And of course, it's got the bright orange tip,
yep,
so that everybody knows it's an airsoft.
can't be confused.
Yep. And not an actual real gun. That is really cool. Talk about big boy toys that little kids can play with as well. That's it right there.
And you can have these in full auto. So
Really?
yeah, so this has the full auto, so you don't fall under all the stupid NFA laws and anything else like that. So it's a lot of fun. Great to have, great to play, great family
like
fun.
you
Even
say, great training.
yeah, awesome training. I remember the first airsoft gun I bought. There was a learning curve there. We had set up a bunch of like just stuff in the house. I didn't realize how zippy these were, and boy, I shot the crap out of the drywall. And then I left a can of green gas in the car and went to the actual range, and it had exploded in the car
Oh, no.
and blew apart my girlfriend's dashboard at the time. So
So you do have to be a little
Be
careful
careful.
with them. Yeah, definitely be careful. Every firearm is still a firearm. It doesn't matter what it's coming out of the end of it.
yep.
Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about some fishing, because we've covered pretty much everything. Well, we almost covered everything that you brought today, but you like to fish too, and this time of the year there's a lot of black drum opportunities.
Yep.
And have you had an opportunity to get out and do any fishing?
So it's funny you say that. We were actually going to go out last night. I ended up not going out there just because how the wind was blowing us. Like where we plan on going, we ended up just calling it. Going to probably try go during the week or something.
Yeah, when it calms down just a little bit more.
But nah, like you said, the drum they're running. I'm seeing all kinds of people on YouTube are killing the big drum right now, like catching them and everything else. Then we get to shoot a lot of those. Sheep's head's my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like shooting sheepies is my passion when it comes to bow fishing. And then of course when you're getting back into the season coming out of winter, you go out and just wear out tilapia. You never feel bad shooting those things.
Well, the water's low right now, so it makes it really easy to find them too.
Yeah, and they're just big and dumb and tasty. And like there's times where we're shooting like several 100 pounds of tilapia a night, and then I'll just find people and I'll give away. I used to one of the churches here in Cocoa, I'd always bring them fish, and they told me for like 2 years I supplied all their fish fries.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah,
So it's a lot of fun.
sharing with the community.
Speaking of the Starbright tape, like I keep some of the Starbright liquid electrical tape always in the boat. So like light repairs for my bow fishing lights, anything with my mud motors or anything like that. Like that's one of my big things I always make sure is in my boat box. So
It's a handy little product, that's for sure.
oh yeah.
Well, buddy, we got about 2 minutes left before the wrap up. Obviously, the black drum fishery is getting better and better. This year, we had schools. I had 1 week where we found schools that had somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 30 to 50 inch fish in them.
Dang, I remember seeing it.
Obviously, bigger than what you want to try and take home and eat, but a whole lot of fun to pull on.
Oh yeah, I remember the first black drum we'd ever shot out bowfish when my best friend Nick shot it, and like it was kind of just we turned, it popped up in the light for a second. We saw it sent an arrow, and it was a giant bull black drum, and like even with an arrow in it, we fought this thing on the line for probably 30 minutes, like trying not to pull out also, but like
yeah.
But yeah, now like you said though, like I'm shooting sandwich fish. I'm not shooting those giants anymore, really. Like, I mean, granted, if it's super slow, we might take a trophy one every now and again. But for the most part, yeah, like I'm shooting the mid to smaller slots. I just want a sandwich.
When you look at the black drum and the sheephead, you get a 14, 15 inch sheephead, or you get a roughly 20 to 22 inch black drum. Those are really, really good eating fish.
Mm-hmm.
When they get a little bigger, they get a little gamier, but those size are perfect, and they eat so good.
Yep.
So that is the best type to catch and to keep, in my opinion. Well, buddy, we are about out of time. I thank you. I just want to say thank you again for coming in, bringing the entire arsenal today. You guys and gals really need to go to the Keltec website, and every day you guys are upgrading the website to let people know that, hey, there's more accessories, there's more aftermarket stuff, there's more this, that, and the other, there's more offerings. And so the Keltec website is getting better by the day, because it was pretty sparse for a while, but you guys have really been doing a good job of beefing that up. And of course, the Keltec social media shows all the newest, latest, greatest. But really want to appreciate you for coming out and showing what you guys are doing, and letting the customers and the listeners out there decide, hey, maybe there's something in this lineup for me.
Yeah. Thank you. Been keeping, like you said, all the socials and .coms firing, and keeping everything going, pushing everything out there to you guys as fast as we can. So
it's been a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure. Thank you again for coming in today. And until next week, hopefully you guys and gals will do exactly what we're going to do. Get out there and catch yourselves a memory.